another group of brothers that's on the same mission as the Moors. Let me tell you something. One thing I love about my Hebrew brothers is they have the same ideal, just under a different title. The same ideal of nationhood, of brotherhood. They have different camps. They have their disagreements. We have our disagreements. But one thing that I have learned is that within the Moorish paradigm, we all Moorish Americans. And I have found a way to cross grand body lines. I've found a way to unite with all grand bodies and love my people just the same. Now, that's in the Moorish Science Temple of America paradigm. But I've also found a way to reach across the line. I've reached across the line of all ideology. Negro, black, colored, brother proclaim the Hebrew faith. I love it. Brother proclaim the Christian faith. It's all right with me. But at the end of the day, the boot is on all of our neck. At the end of the day. So my thing is this. We all come from the same source, whether you like it or not. So when people tell me that the Moors did this to slavery and Moor means this and Moor means that, and he said, you both practice, somebody RB44 said you both practice integration. We don't practice integration, brother. Let me explain something to you. The Prophet Obadiah Ali teaches the Moors in the Holy Quran. This is a holy book for the Moors, brothers. I'll share it for you real quick before my brother come on. In the Holy Book of the Moorish Science Temple of America, it teaches this. But RB44, you can email me at taharkabay@yahoo.com if you want to learn more about Moorish science, because you're going to make a fool out yourself making statements that you know nothing about. Moorish science, in the Moorish Science Temple of America, the paradigm is it follows as such. We as Moors do not desire to amalgamate or mix into the pale-skinned nation of Europe, or marry into the pale-skinned nation of Europe, because we as a clean and pure nation, descendants from the inhabitants of Africa. Okay, let me slow it down for you. Should I slow it down? Like they used to do in a rap battle. Moors, we do not desire to amalgamate or marry into the pale-skinned nation of Europe. RB44, there are no white Moors, European Moors. If they say they are, they're lying. No different. I haven't met one that even said he was a Moor. But if he says he is, he's lying. No different than the person who calls himself a Jew and is a European. If he said he is, he's lying. If an Arab, like I had on a head scarf today on the other day, and the brother said we try to be like the Arab. Study your history, and you see that the Arabs look just like us. But with no further ado, let me stop taking all the time from my brother and let my brother come in. Zion Lexx, are you in the building, brother?
I am definitely in the building, brother.
Brother, let the people know who you are, because I don't think you're famous enough. I mean, you did chop some. It's symbolic, family. The brother did chop some heads, and people know who he is, but I don't think he's famous enough. Let the people know who you are, my brother.
Let me get my earpiece together, brother. I wish I was at home, but I'm not. While I'm getting my earpiece together, I have receive my PowerPoint.
I'm about to pull it up now while you're introducing yourself. I'm with you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. That's a very important thing. So first and foremost, I want to start off by saying I want to give all thanks and praise to the Creator, the Holy One of Israel, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, the God of our ancient forefathers. I want to say shalom to the Hebrews that are in the building. I want to say Islam and peace to my Moorish family that's in the building. It up to all factions of the so-called Black Power movement who have made themselves available tonight to come out and listen. Listen, we're going to cut to the chase, right? I'm a person that I've been known for the last 25 years in the Hebrew community as somebody who speak their mind, no filter. It's been my MO from day one. Everyone that knows me knows that when you want an honest opinion, you call that brother in because he's going to call it like he sees it. I get that from my father, very, very strong man. To be a man is to speak your mind. Anytime you deny that, you almost deny a huge part, a very important part of your manhood, as well as being a woman. A woman should be able to speak her mind as well. With that being said, brother, I thank you, Tahaka Bay, for allowing me to come on Moorish World TV, allowing me to clear up some of the BS that's going on. Cause we got some fake news in the community as of late, huh? We got a lot of fake news in the community. You know, what I expect from the so-called conscious community or the black community on the whole is that we should be trusted to tell the whole truth. We should be trusted to be a portal and an outlet of truth where we clearly have different facets of thought in our community, but we should have safe havens where all of these voices can be heard on a platform. But when you have a platform led and inspired by individuals who tell you that they biased to the point where you can't get an equal or fair shake on their platform, something is wrong. Let me give you a glimpse at the picture I'm trying to paint for you so you can understand how distorted this community is. I'll be 38 years old, God willing, November 7th. I was born 1979, November 7th. So I've been around for a little bit. I remember shows like It Is, hosted by Gil Noble. I also remember shows like Tony Brown's Journal, hosted by Tony Brown. Now I have a question to the listening audience who might be somewhat my age, if not older. If you remember these two shows, Like It Is, which was the first black show to put Dr. Ben on, by the way. Dr. Ben had not appeared on any black show on any major outlet before he appeared on Like It Is, Channel 7 with Gil Noble. Make that be known. Also, we also had a very, very instrumental brother known by the name of Tony Brown, who had something called Tony Brown's Journal. Now, here's the picture I want to paint for you for those who are familiar with the works of those two enormous figures in our community. Can you imagine Gil Noble beefing with Tony Brown? Could you imagine Gil Noble beefing with Tony Brown? I'm not letting Dr. Ben on because Dr. Ben pushed Kemet. And anybody from the Islamic community come on, such as a Farrakhan, because he pushing Islam. No, that's stupidness. Now, I'm sure Tony Brown had his own vision for how he thought things should have went. I'm also sure that Gil Noble had his vision for how he believes things should have went. But those two individuals were intelligent enough to isolate their views to allow others to get on the platform and speak their truths without interference from the moderator. Because what that does is that controls the narrative. Which brings me to the second point I want to make. If you have a show like It Is, which was a powerful show, I adjure those who are a lot younger to check it out. When you watch Dr. Ben's trip to Egypt, you'll see that he actually went numerous of times, which we all know of. But one of his trips, accompanied with him, brother Gil Noble, who was the host of Like It Is. And he documented the whole thing. It's like a 2-3 hour show, by the way. They showed it like 3 or 4 Saturdays in a row. And I can tell you right now, sitting under my father's wing, that was something that we played very, very close attention to. We watched the entire thing. Now, I want to paint this picture for you. Gil Noble saying that he's not going to let Farrakhan come on because he messed with Dr. Ben more than he messed with Farrakhan. No, he understood that we have so many different facets of thought, meaning that every community has an aspect of truth within their community, and it is all the pieces of this puzzle that comes together to paint this great picture. There's no one community with the entire picture. I want to make that extremely clear. Since I'm using the language of a puzzle, you may have communities that may have a bigger piece of the puzzle. Let's not get it twisted. You may have communities just like any puzzle that you can see today. None of the two pieces. There's no two pieces alike. There are pieces that's bigger. There's pieces that's smaller. But what's very important about that is that you may have a community that holds a bigger piece, but the bottom line is you still don't have the picture without those smaller pieces. So that should humble those who may have a bigger piece of the truth. For those who have common sense, I'm pushing that truth. With that being said, platforms where multifaceted thoughts can come, express their opinions, express their ideas without being attacked, without the narrative being biased, without the narrative being controlled in a way that would push individuals down. There's people talking about, you know, I'm not sure if that's possible. Maybe you a young head talking like that. I don't know your age if you're saying that's impossible. Maybe you should look at some of the people I just mentioned, such as Tony Brown's journal, such as Gil Noble, like it is. They're the ones who gave the individuals that you hold on a high pedestal a platform, such as your Dr. Benz and your John Henry Clarks. They spoke on shows like It Is. They spoke on shows with Gil Noble. And guess what? Gil Noble always played the job as a non-biased moderator. You never heard Bill Noble get on there and say, "Oh, I'm rocking with the Hebrews." So, Kemet, when I cut up your video, when I do this to you, come on, and y'all praise that, y'all gotta be out y'all goddamn mind. If there's anything that you should understand about the growth of our community, you should understand that our community is growing backwards. What I mean by that is the greatest leaders in our community are those in the past. And those you see today are those that are dumbing down. And that's trickling down along the lines of all facets of thought. So just like you had Gil Noble and Tony Brown, who held great platforms, don't expect that individuals who are coming today may live up to those standards. You have to remember the era we in, the information is dumbed down and the people are more vile and more wicked. And what they're doing is going to reflect and express that sentiment. With that being said, I'm not surprised that we have platforms like Sonata TV, where so long as you're talking about pyramids and so long as you're talking about Ankhs, you'll be perceived as the next great white hype. Let's not forget that this is a platform at one time that was so pro-Kemet and was so against any other facet of thought having a genuine voice that they pushed to the forefront a brother by the name of Young Pharaoh, who today, everybody in that community agrees you don't get more pseudo than that with Pharaoh. But truth be told, that community pushed him simply because he was screaming Kemet. While all along, they're very full aware that everything he was teaching was pseudo as hell. So that right there is not even a shot that I'm taking. That's a shot that y'all done pulled the trigger to your own head. Y'all committed suicide when y'all put certain people on your platform. It makes no sense. So I want to get straight to the point, my brother, of why we felt the need to come with this show tonight. First and foremost, I want to make it clear that I had a conversation with Brother Jabari, through which he revealed to me that he's not sure if we're going to have a face-to-face dialogue anytime soon. He expressed that this is in part due to the sentiment of Sarnetta. I spoke with Sarnetta, and he straight out told me, man, I don't think I'm gonna put you with Jabari, man. I think you getting too emotional and you can't handle it. Now this is the fake news.
Say something when you
this
finish.
is the fake news. Go ahead, brother.
First of all, let me say this. I want to first and foremost, being a Moorish American man, I strive to perfect my ways. And I've officially on air apologized to Brother Jabari for over talking him. I got a little worked up due to the fact that he chose not to step to Sarnetta correctly, for Sarnetta stepping out of line with the disrespect, and him being a clergy, as he emphatically kept saying, I'm clergy, I'm clergy, I'm clergy, yet he wouldn't stand for what's right. It kind of rubbed me the wrong way. And so I came at him and I kicked him off the platform. I hung up on him. I apologize for that. Shouldn't have did that. Secondly, to your point about Sarnetta, see, I don't want to become the Sarnetta. People already compare me to him, so I don't want to be hanging out, kicking people off the platform. That ain't cool. You know what I mean? That's just not cool. Anyway, even if I totally disagree, but I think he should have checked his brother since he's a clergyman. But it didn't happen like that. But nevertheless, to the point of Sarnetta, Sarnetta takes this YouTube stuff to bed with him. He really does, man. He stays up at night and made a video about Seti versus Tahaka Bay and the Moors. said he ain't say nothing about Tahaka Bay. And I mentioned Seti's name in quite a few songs on air. Said he been in the chat, never said nothing. So he encouraged this job. But the point that I'm making is that his pockets is being questioned. Or what's going in his pockets and not in the community is being questioned. So when you come on my show, brother, you put that in jeopardy. Hey, you know and I know it has nothing to do with him. He would love for you to come over there and hype it up and him jump on you and people get all worked up and come pay $25, $30 to see y'all. He would love that. But when you come over here, now there is no interruption. The people will get Zion Lexx side. And as always, from what I've seen, you become the one that makes the most sense out of all this. And so I just wanted to add that in, brother. You know, this brother is looking over his bank account. It's time for another show. It's like the old singer. They ain't do no shows in a while. It's time to go back on tour. And here comes Tahaka Bay. Go ahead, my brother.
Thank you very much, man. So we're gonna get straight to the point. And what I mean by fake news is that someone brought to my attention this morning a video that was put out on, I believe it was Black News 102 with Professor Smalls and Brother Tazariak. In the video, about 4 to 5 minutes in, Professor Smalls mentions me by name, even though through Sarnetta, the last time I actually saw Sarnetta, he said, "Oh, Professor Smalls said what's up." I said, "Okay, tell him I said what's up. It ain't personal for me. You know, information is information. I'm not taking nothing personal with the professor. If he could say hello to me, I could say hello to him." But he actually gets on video today, and once again, he does what he's known to do on TV. He backpedals and begins to behave like a child. And I'm a person that I speak truth to power. Yes, our elders deserve respect, but when our elders fall out of line, what distinguishes them from a child can be corrected. When you get to the point as an elder where someone can't ask you a question, there's a problem. You know, people talk about, you know, Zion Lexx disrespected the elder. Ask them some simple questions. Exactly what did he say that was disrespectful? And then you go back and you look at the dialogue. What happened? I asked questions. I cannot ask the elder a question from the jump. Whenever you cannot ask an elder a question, there was a major problem in the community. Whenever an elder is feeling themselves so much that how dare you ask me a question is their sentiment, that elder's voice no longer needs to be heard in the community. Which many of us are to those elders who could be our fathers and our grandfathers. We're children to them. We should be able to sit at your feet and have discourse where you can speak to us and make statements, but we should be able to ask questions as well. So with that being said, we got to stop playing games. And with that being said, Professor Smalls is once again on video talking that talk. And so I want Brother Tahaka Bay to put up the video of Professor Smalls that I sent to him so people could understand why I wanted to have a dialogue with him. Just before you do that, Brother Tahaka Bay, I want to say this. Captain Tazariak spoke with Brother James Smalls. Salute to Captain Tazariak. And what was ironic in that dialogue is Professor Smalls spoke all about unity and love for the Hebrews. Oh yeah, the Hebrews is over here and we Kemet and we over here, and you know, it's still love though. We can have our differences. Word? So what about that other clip, Professor? Which is what evoked and provoked Zion Lexx to challenge you with questions. You know, so people could see the hypocrisy in the Kemetic community. Roll that video, please.
Here we go. All right. Family, work with me. Hopefully we got it lined up like it's supposed to be. I think it's 13:30. Let's see what we got.
With a white collar shirt and a tan, dress pants, and he's having a dialogue with Sarnetta with Brother Sutek on the side of him. And Brother Sutek is engaging him about the Middle Eastern role in African spirituality.
Show the video so they can see his face.
when you speak of that, you have to talk about the Hebraic world. You can't leave us out. When you talk about the so-called Middle East, which we know was a misnomer because that's all.
1 second, 1 second, 1 second. My bad.
Thank you, thank you. I want people to see his face so they don't think that we playing with the audio.
There we go.
Northeast Africa. Nonetheless, Professor Smalls described our way of life as a piece of shit.
There's millions upon millions and millions of people in Africa, and you're talking about a little spot on the map this big, and the world this big. If you're going to take a little spot on the map this big and make it important because the white man made it important. Had not the white man become a Jew, and had not the white man become a Christian, we wouldn't even be mentioning that shit.
I do. Now, I described our way of life as a piece of shit.
You can stop right there, brother.
Millions and millions of people in Africa, and you're talking about a little spot on the map this big, and the world this big. If you're going to take a little spot on the map this big and make it important because the white man made it important. Had not the white man become a Jew, and had not the white man become a Christian, we wouldn't even be mentioning that shit.
Woo.
All right. All right. So let me now go in. All right. Let me now go in. So let me make this clear, because I'm only going to say this about one more again. So let me make this clear. I have respect for elders who behave as such. But whenever you have an elder that's out of line, it will be corrected. And that's the bottom line. That's the school of thought that I come from. Elders can be corrected too. Don't forget that. And that which should differentiate an elder from a child is the degree of wisdom, experience that they have, and more importantly, application of all the above. When an elder is not applying the wisdom that he has, he's no longer an elder and can be dealt with as such. With that being said, Professor Small went on video calling the Hebrew way of life a piece of shit. And he's doing that when he's talking to Brother Sutek. Ain't a Hebrew around. But when he stand with me, he talk about, oh, Rabbi Matthews was best friends with Malcolm X. The same game that he ran on to Zariak on the video just this morning. Oh, Rabbi Matthews, he was like a best friend to Malcolm X. Yeah, we know that, Professor. But get back to the part where you called our way of life a piece of shit. Why are you not talking that anymore? Why are you not talking that? Why is it in the Kemetic community you find so many of these individuals have heart, as it were, to make bold statements, but when they're in front of the people that they are aiming these statements towards, everything switches up now. And then if we respond, oh, we being soft, we being emotional now, what it's called is we checking you. We G-checking you at that. Some of y'all are gonna and need to get G-checked. And I'm that person that would definitely do it. Understand that. I will G-check your professor, as I did, period, because he deserved it. Ain't no elder gonna sit down and call my way of life a piece of shit. Are you out your mind?
And Zion
At
Lexx,
that point, you know, yeah, brother.
let me add to that, brother. I did a video a while ago, and I got a lot of flack from that because Professor James Smalls, I seen him at the Brother Sharif and Reggie debate, and he actually told me some history of his family being Moors, and I mean it was just small talk. But then 2 weeks later, Reggie and Sinette and them still salty about the laws. He goes on the couch and begin to talk about the Moors. Unbelievable. And so I understand where you're coming from. And I did a video, and basically I just said, brother, I understand that you want to stay relevant, but you just told me 2 weeks ago some things that I'm gonna leave between us. But you can't come back 2 weeks later and support a brother just because they salty because Brother Sharif mopped the floor with a Kemetic God that just was not ready. And people in the chat, they tore me up. But I get you, brother. I'm with you. Go ahead, brother. You still there, my brother?
Hey, can I say something right quick?
Come on with it, brother. Hey, what's up, D-Man? Let the people know who you are, brother. Hold up. This is my brother right here. One thing I like about this brother, I'm gonna let him introduce himself. But one thing I like about the brother, D-Red checked me one time. I should screenshot it. See, this is what men can do. D-Red is my brother. Me and D-Red never press palms. Inshallah, we will one day soon. He's a Hebrew. I'm a Moorish American. He's a Hebrew Israelite. I'm a Moorish American. We never press palms, but we friends as if We brothers as if we are blood kin, as if we met each other before. And one day I said some stuff, I think it was on the Polite Show, and I ain't gonna never forget it, and I'm gonna repeat it 1,000,001 times. The brother told me I let Polite get away with talking for about 15 to 20 minutes, out talking everybody. And the brother D-Ray hit me in the inbox, between me and him. But he hit me in the inbox, he said, brother, that's some sucker stuff right there, man. Man, that ain't cool right there, man. But that's what men can do. That's what men can say to men. And we don't get sensitive. And we keep it moving. And I love that brother just the same. D-Ray, let the people know who you are, my brother.
Shoot, might check 1, 2, what it do? It's your boy D Red, aka the Blue Collar Scholar, man. I just had to chime in right quick. I know my boy Zion finna go in. Shalom to my brother. You know what I'm saying? Islam to my Mose, man. But I had to just add something to that. Now I'm finna give y'all a quote from Professor Smiles. That's that double talk, man. That's the, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna give you a quote. Now this was from this was from Talk Real Solutions Blog Talk Radio Show, right? Now listen to what he said. Dr. James Smalls, he says, I got the quote, so it ain't my opinion. He says, all African societies understand the omnipotent, the omnipresent, and the supreme. He says, we must remember, we taught it to the European long before there was a Christian church in England. There was already a Christian churches in Ethiopia and the Sudan. So when we came to America, 1/3 of us were already indeed African Christians and didn't know nothing of the European form of Christianity. But nobody talks about that. Now, he's the reason why when he got this book, he says, if you read Dr. Lerone Bennett's book, The Shaping of Black America, former historical editor of Ebony Magazine, explains, and quote, the British colonies had a rule. If you were a Christian before you were enslaved, they had to set you free. But they discovered that there were so many African Christians that they had to change the rule. Now, this is Professor Smalls. So you can see the double talk even from their elders. Because 1 minute he said we didn't know nothing about the African form of Christianity, but in the clip he says it's important because white folks made it important. I mean, which one is it? You know what I'm saying? Was we Christians or the black folks Christians or was the white folks Christians? See, so I had to agree with Brother Zion, that I mean the dude be talking out of both sides of his neck. You know what I'm saying? And as an elder, man, you know what I mean, that shows a lack of integrity off the muscle. I don't give a damn who you marched with or who you knew. You see what I'm saying? I mean, your word's supposed to be your bond. You see what I'm saying? So obviously his word ain't good, so you need to be checked on that.
Exactly. Zion Lexx, are you there, my brother?
I'm damn sure here, brother. Ready to continue.
Right, I'm with you, my brother. Let's go.
All right, let's get it in. So
hey, let me tell you something. Let me introduce y'all to the Kemetic Pseudo Slayer. That's the nickname I named it. Kemetic Pseudo Slayer. Because we love our Kemetic brothers that really practice that raise their children. Let me turn it back around to you. Get out of my face. That raise their children by this. You know what I mean? If they really raise their children by saying, now, and he's going to address this in a minute, I have not done inequity, I have not robbed with violence, I have not stolen. And if they really raise their children with that and they live by this stuff, I'm pretty sure my brother Zion Lexx will respect this and respect their position. But when they say these things and then acting like they're educators and acting as if they are truly qualified to speak on the source of this is one thing. And then on the flip side, they don't live by this. Some don't live by it. And they have to be chin checked and addressed. And that's what my brother Zion Lexx, the Kemetic pseudo slayer, is here to talk about and to do tonight. We love the ones that truly believe and truly at home, not on YouTube, and really raising this stuff. They can carry their own, they can dress and do all that kind of stuff. We love that. I do. And I'm pretty sure my brother Lex do too. However, those that play the game with it and then want to act as if they are the measuring stick. They are the measuring stick for Kemetic science or Kemetic wisdom, and they're wrong. My brother Lex is going to G-check them. It is what it is. Brother Lex, where you at, brother?
All right, so let me make this very clear in my closing thoughts on the professor. I think the professor is a brilliant man. I don't think that the professor's disrespectful statements should delete or make obsolete the enormous work that he has contributed in the community. But what I've always said from day one is that even elders can be corrected. When we get to a point where elders can't be corrected, we have a dictatorship. We don't have a community. We have people running around acting as if they are dictators. So they called me in the video a loose cannon, but the reality is a loose cannon would be your elders that are walking around as if they cannot be corrected. And that's a problem. We should be respectful in our delivery. And I believe that I asked all my questions extremely respectful, even to the point where the professor put his finger in my face, which was very confrontational. And I still maintained my decor and my rapport, and I was still very respectful nonetheless. So with that being said, I want to close that thought on him. It's already proven and shown to the people that Professor Smalls, with all of his accolades, with all of his contributions, at the end of the day, he's still a double talker, because he'll say on camera peace and unity when he's standing with Israelites. But when Israelites are not standing next to him, he'll refer to our way of life as a piece of shit. And if nobody's going to speak on it, then I'm going to be the one to speak on it, because I don't care. I don't fear not a single man. So I'm going to speak that truth until somebody stop me. With that being said, I want you to open up to my PowerPoint with just the cover. Don't show them the first slide. Let's just look at the cover real quick.
The way I got it now, I just threw it up in the thing. So I'm going to do it like this. You're going to see a piece of it. All right. I did it a different way this time. Let me see if I can pull it up on the PowerPoint level. Hold tight. Coming in a second, family. Hold tight. There we go. All right, here we go. 1 second. Give me 1 second. All right. Okay, here we go. You got it?
All right, the wording looks a little, the letter, the font looks a little different than how I made it, but we could work with it. I could read what it's saying, so we're gonna work with it, all right, brother?
Yeah, I got some crazy stuff going on. Let me see if I can change it up. My thing got a mind of its own, brother. It do.
All right, we got a lot of people waiting, so I tell you what, we gonna
all right,
go
come on with it. All right, it says Zion Lexx challenges Jabari, claims the origins of my art, plagiarism. I don't know why I changed the font. This is not the first time it happened, but anyway, after the proof of authorship is established. All
right. So let me go in and explain what I mean by that. So we already seen that my dialogue with Jabari, conscious community, because they have finally come out now and have admitted on camera something that they can't take away, because the camera has left a record now. So they finally admitted on camera that not only do they not know the origin of Ma'at on a whole, but they also don't know who introduced Ma'at into Kemet. That's very, very important, because if you do not know who introduced Ma'at into Kemet, that means you also do not know who the author of Ma'at is. Who is the person that inspired these truths and related it to man? Very, very important questions.
And brother,
the first,
some of this stuff, I'm gonna be cutting you off, because I want you to repeat this, brother, because like I said, brother, when I first heard you demonstrate this portion on a little clip, man, it blew me away, because I consider myself to be a critical thinker, and you're meticulous. And brother, that blew me away. And again, I want people to know that I was doing a show without Lex. I was giving the brother honor without his permission, without anything, because he brought that point to me. As I got the confessions on my wall in my house, and I didn't think about that. And I still think those are some great high principled confessions. But when the brother brought that type of questioning to the confessions, I said, whoa. And I was going to show the honor to the brother. and then it materialized into what we have today. But brother, so I might cut you off so you can put emphasis on who is the author. We need to know. Come on, Lex.
All right, so let's go with it, and let's deal with the point of why we're sitting down here today. We've heard the rhetoric that the conscious community, so-called scholars, so-called conscious community. Gotta say that every time I say that. We've heard the rhetoric that comes from the so-called conscious community and their so-called scholars, that, you know, the laws of the Bible is plagiarized from the 42 negative confessions of Ma'at. Plagiarization, although not being a legal term in the sense that you can be punished in a court of law, nonetheless, it's still a charge, and it's a moral and ethic issue that is being charged against an individual, which is what plagiarism is, right? It's calling into question your character, your morality, your ethics. Why would you take someone else's work and claim it as your own? So here we go. Jabari did a video with Captain Tazariak, speaking about Captain Tazariak from his home. And he says that Captain Tazariak asked him about the origins of Ma'at. And he even says, perhaps the desire, let me use his words meticulously and verbatim. He says, perhaps the fervent desire for the question came from his sit down with Brother Zion Lexx, which is absolutely right. He said that when Captain Tazariak asked him that question, it was due to the sit down that he already previously had with me. In fact, Captain Tazariak, salute to that brother, he even texted me after the dialogue and was like, man, you should have kept him on the origins of Ma'at. You let him get away and talk about your book, basically pointing out what everybody knows. Brother Jabari used the claims in my book as a way to escape the questions that I asked him. He never actually answered any of my questions. My questions were straight to the point, they were meticulous, and they were very detailed, and he couldn't answer it. But then he comes back on video to respond to Tazariak, but still indirectly responding to me, and he says, guess what? We actually don't know the origins of Ma'at. And he says that maybe the question is that you guys want to frame it is, who introduced Ma'at into Kemet? And he said the answer is, we don't know. So here's my question. If we don't know the origins of Ma'at, and more importantly, we don't know who introduced Ma'at into Kemet, how are we talking about plagiarization? The first thing that you're asked in a court of law when we're talking about plagiarization is proofs of authorship. If you don't know who authored it, how in the hell do you get off talking about plagiarization? That is the point that I've been making since I walked into this community. And finally, they have a teacher with enough intellectual fortitude to answer the question honestly. And that's exactly what he did. And guess what? Sometimes the most honest and honorable response is, I don't know. A lot of people who struggle with ego and have to have an answer, but more importantly, have to have a right answer, they don't want to tell the truth. If I'm going to give Jabari any respect from what I've seen lately, I got to put respect on him coming out and saying the answer to that is, we don't know. We don't know who introduced Ma'at into Kemet. So again, my question to Brother Jabari is, if you do not know who introduced Ma'at into Kemet, how do you act as if you're the author or Kemet is the author? Come on, man. Y'all playing games. Y'all are playing games. Let me say it again for all the slow people in the Kemetic conscious community who just don't get it. Brother Jabari recently went on camera. We have the video saved. They could take them down all they want. They playing on YouTube. They playing on Facebook like crazy. And we're going to keep pushing it because he told the truth finally. If the sentiment is that the Torah and the Ten Commandments was taken from Kemet, the first thing Kemet has to do is prove authorship. But you can no longer even have that dialogue with us. You know why? Because Brother Jabari says they do not know. So if you can't establish authorship, your entire claim of plagiarization is out the window. This is what I'm talking about when I said that I came into the community and I chin check every scholar left and right. I know what questions to ask. I know what questions to ask that will dismantle an entire argument. And your entire argument on plagiarization can be dismantled with one simple question. Where is your proof of authorship? Do you know who introduced Ma'at into Kemet? More importantly, can you prove it? If you cannot prove who introduced Ma'at into Kemet, and if you can acknowledge that you do not know who introduced Ma'at into Kemet, that means you also subconsciously admit that you do not know who the author is. So if you don't know who the author is, the author could be anybody. Oh, they're gonna say the author is Kush, right? It come from Kush, the South. Okay, show us any literary proof in the South referencing that truth. I'll wait. They don't got it. That's why Brother Jabari had to say, the answer is, we do not know. Chin checked, that came from me. God is great because he uses men that use wisdom. God is great because he uses men that uses wisdom. Simple question dismantled the entire argument. If you do not know who the author is, you have no right to claim of plagiarization. Kemetic community, you are finished. Y'all could get 100 people in the chat room to say Zion took an L. That don't defeat the truth. All y'all do is y'all look silly and emotional. But the reality is, your community is the one that inspired this L. Because you keep allowing me back into the fold. You should have listened to the people that said, don't allow him to speak. There was a reason why the people were saying we shouldn't allow him to speak. With all of the hatred that they had, they still understood, man, don't put him in front of our scholars. That's a dude that will dismantle them. And that's coming from the mouth of Sarnetta himself. When I asked him about Mfudiji, nah, he can't mess with you. When I asked him about Professor Smalls, he said, okay, we'll bring him in. After that, he was like, damn, man, why you did that to the professor? And laughed. And at the end of the day, if anybody has an issue with my dialogue with the professor, why don't you revisit what Sarnetta said the night before? The night before my dialogue with Sarnetta, do remember because all the videos are still up. Sarnetta said, Professor Smalls is not coming to play with Zion Lexx. He's coming to give Zion Lexx that work. So why we acting stupid, like we don't know why Zion Lexx was there? I was there to question him. And according to Sarnetta, the professor was there not to play games with me. He was coming to give work. But instead, he cut school early without finishing his work. And that's because of the questions that I ask when I get in the building. There hasn't been a single scholar in the Kemetic community that I haven't dismantled with ease. None of them. And that's to the glory of God too. So let's go to my very, very first slide with Brother Jabari. I want you, Brother Tahaka Bey, all right, you don't have to highlight it. I'll read it. This is taken from a YouTube video entitled Jabari Agent. All you have to do is go on YouTube and type in either Sarnetta Shuffle, which is a YouTube channel, or you can type in Jabari Agent. Someone made a video documenting my sit down with Jabari, and here's some of the things that they highlighted that the Kemetic community is embarrassed to acknowledge. Jabari claims that the 10 Commandments are plagiarized from ancient Kemet. I have noticed that a lot of the so-called New Age Afrocentricity self-proclaimed scholars this very same claim, but I have never seen anyone prove it. Notice when you see Zion Lexx flow with the Hebrew, I want you to notice Jabari's face and body language. I'm sure some of y'all already seen the memes. After Zion Lexx finished flowing with the Hebrew, Jabari shuffled his way, buck danced his way out of proving that the 10 Commandments were plagiarized from ancient Kemet, and that is a fact. Brother Jabari said, hey, Brother Zion Lexx, let me give you this King James Bible. Who you sitting down with? You really thought you were sitting down with one of them street corner Israelites, huh? Oh, you got another thing coming. You thought you were sitting down with them Israelites that when they speak Hebrew, they sound weird, crazy, and deranged, huh? You got another thing coming. Oh, you thought you were sitting down with one of them Hebrew Israelites that is not fully immersed in their culture, history, and language. You got another thing coming. So while he handed me that 10 Commandment from the King James Bible, I already got my tablet with me. And I'm opening up my Hebrew Bible app because I'm going to read directly from the original. And what I thought was that he was going to cross-reference what was in the 42 negative confessions by looking at the Medunetta. But he didn't do that. And that's why I made the statement that his wife would have been a much better opponent, because even as his wife, and Sonetta has admitted on Sonetta TV, she is the better scholar on the language. So why not ask her? That's not a shot. Why would you be insulted if I say that your wife has a better grip on the language? If that insults you, that means you're not being true to the very system that you says puts women on a pedestal, because you shouldn't be insulted if a man is telling you that your wife has a skill set that you agree that she doesn't have, but simply because I pointed out you getting all insult, man, you emotional as hell. And as soon as they saw that I read that verse, all those verses in Hebrew as well as English, Jabari don't even want to talk about plagiarization no more. Come on, y'all. Keep it 100. Y'all seen the video. As soon as I read those commandments in the Hebrew, Brother Jabari didn't even want to have the conversation anymore. You know why? Because he understood that I wasn't that kind of Israelite that he could run that game with. Let's hit that next clip.
Oh, my bad.
All right, so let's do it like this. This is not my language. It comes from Sonnet of Shuffle. I'm not going to read the curse word, but if you want to go back to the original video to see that this is not me, this is someone with their own channel expressing their own views, I'm going to read it void of the curse word. Jabari pulled a blank agent move on Zion Lexx. Instead of proving that the 10 Commandments were plagiarized from ancient Kemet, he diverted from that and ranted about how Zion Lexx plagiarized his claims from a picture, not even a literary comment. I would put more respect on Brother Jabari saying, yo, Zion, you know what, man? It's one thing to take a picture from the internet and argue till the sun comes up about it being a public domain image. Okay, Zion, we're going to let you have that. It's public domain, whatever. But Zion, you plagiarizing words. You taking words from the man's book and putting it in your book? No. No such thing exists. But guess what exists in the Kemetic community? Oh, Zion, you reach it again. You damn right, because you got to reach to dig out the truth, right? So you got Brother Wujawu from the Amin Ra squad who can copy and paste an entire book. The book is called Middle Egyptian Grammar. He can copy and paste the entire book and attach it to a book in his name and put it out to the public. But when he's called out by it, by Team Osiris, led by Brother Ngozi and Brother Kansu, when he's called out on it, all of a sudden now the Kemetic community want to keep that under wraps. This is the hypocrisy that I'm talking about. Because your image with me is very fickle. Your issue with me is very fickle. The argument in question with regard to my book isn't about any literary content. The literary content is absolutely and purely my ideas, hence why you could not see any of them effectively attack it. The only thing that they attacked was the pictures. And the pictures are a result of what's called public domain, i.e. free use. So I had every right to use it. And as we're noticing is a trend on this particular platform, Sonnet TV, instead of dealing with the information, people buck dance and go to the argument that's the easiest for them to handle because they don't have the intellectual fortitude to really deal with the truth at hand. So in continuing what the brother said, let me read it. He says, but yet instead his intent then was Jabari talking about lying associated with plagiarization. And on the video, when Jabari knows that Sonnet TV goes worldwide, so what's the chances of author finding out where the video is? Jabari, with his ancient move, knew exactly what he was doing. Garfield didn't even do that when he debated Zion Lexx, and that is an absolute fact. So we're not going to waste too much time on that. Let's go to the next slide, my brother, because here is where it's going to get extremely important and very, very deep. So, in my dialogue with Kemetic priests, initiated Kemetic priest, Brother Jabari says, the oldest book, y'all heard the video that I played on my phone where Brother Jabari said, the oldest book is the Maxims of Ptah Hotep. Then I pointed out to him that I had a clip of him saying that, so he's scared now because he don't know what I'm a draw for. Remember, he's starting to realize who he's sitting down with. So instead of being a man, or at least a Kemetic priest, damn, that might not be a man. Instead of being a man and standing on 10 toes on what he said, instead he shuffles and buck dances and said, no, 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 I didn't say that's the oldest book. I said that's the oldest complete book. So here's what he did. And let me make a very, very powerful statement right now. When you tell a lie, you get deeper or deeply immersed in a lie to a point where you cannot possibly come out of it. You look real bad. He should have left it as it was the oldest book, because I wouldn't have been able to do what I'm going to embarrass him and the entire Kemetic community with right now. He should have kept it with what he actually said. What he actually said is that it's the oldest book. And I have a response for that, but it wasn't as damaging as the lie he told on TV when he changed his words around and said, no, I said it's the oldest complete book. So here we go. He says the Maxims of Ptah-hotep is the oldest book, which we know that is actually extremely incorrect. And let's use his lie first before we even use the truth that he told. The lie that Brother Jabari told is that he said it's the oldest complete book. Anybody out there ever studied the origins of the Maxims of Ptah-hotep? For those who have, you would know one of four things. There's actually 4 existent copies, and 3 of them are fragmented, but the 4th is the only whole complete copy. But guess what? That dates back to the 12th dynasty. We're talking about contemporary with the era of the Code of Hammurabi. We're talking about from 1900 BCE to about 1700 BCE, the 12th dynasty in Kemet. The only complete fragment of the Maxims of Ptah-hotep dates to the 12th dynasty in Kemet. Hence, why the majority of scholars today agree that the original source for the Maxims of Ptah-hotep belongs to the 12th dynasty. Not the Old Kingdom, but the 12th, not the beginning of the Old Kingdom, but we're talking about towards the end of the Old Kingdom. We're talking about way far removed from the era of writing on the walls of the pyramids, such as the pyramids of Unas, Pepi, Teti. We're talking about far removed from that. So if we're going to follow Jabari's lie, here is where it leads us. According to Jabari's lie, he says that the Maxims of Ptah-hotep is the oldest complete book. What he didn't tell you guys, because I'm sure he didn't want you to know, because they're banking on your ignorance. He's no different than Brother Polite and the scamming in the community. In order for you to get scammed, you have to have a certain level of ignorance to even feed into that. Hence, the majority of people that have been scammed by Polite ain't been the brightest lights in the community. And I'm going to just put it as raw as it need to be said. Hence why the majority of the people that have been scammed by Polite ain't the brightest lights in the community. You have to have a degree of ignorance to even get caught up in that. So with that being said, he starts talking about the oldest complete book is the Maxims of Ptah-hotep. But the problem with that is there are 4 copies. 3 of them are fragmented, so that's not complete. And the only complete one dates to the 12th dynasty. That means that, Brother Jabari, you cut yourself. Because how is a 12th dynasty work older or the oldest? You got several works in history much older than the 12th dynasty in Kemet, much older than 1900 BCE. You have, for instance, the Code of Ur-Nammu in Sumer, 2100, 2200 BCE. At least 300 years before the 12th dynasty. At least 300 years before the only complete version of the Maxims of Ptah-hotep, which is dated to the 12th dynasty, is the laws of Ur-Nammu in Sumer. So we have a problem, Houston. And the problem is they're banking on your ignorance in order to sell you the lie. But you have to actually do the study and the research. But don't take my word for it. Let's move on to the next clip and let's read for ourselves. The oldest complete book has missing fragments? The instructions of Ptah-hotep? What could this be? There are 4 known copies of the instructions of Ptah-hotep. The first copy was written in the Old Kingdom, and other copies were considered part of the Middle Kingdom. The instructions from the original text were considered originate from the Old Kingdom because it matched the social and intellectual thinking of that time period. Listen to the criteria for which they're determining why it is from the Old Kingdom. They're not telling you it's dated to that period. Now, the format in the material itself is that which connects it to the Old Kingdom, meaning that there's actually no chronology to it that agrees with it. There's no real solid evidence in terms of a timeline or a accurate dating system that can relate the maxims of Ptah-hotep to the Old Kingdom. Listen to the language. The instructions from the original text were considered to originate from the Old Kingdom because it matched the social and intellectual thinking of that time period. The copy on Papyrus Priest, which is dated in the 12th dynasty, is considered as the original source. Excuse me? Let me repeat that again. The copy of Papyrus Priest, which is dated in the 12th dynasty, is considered as the original source. However, there are other 12th dynasty versions and New Kingdom versions that omit some phrases, add phrases, and sometimes change the sequence of the words. People, that's far from being complete when you're talking about the omission of truth, adding to truth, and the rearrangement of facts, alternative facts, in the truth. So somebody's lying, and I want you to pay attention and realize that it's the Kemetic community. They're banking on your ignorance. You can't get scammed unless you have a degree of ignorance. Follow wisdom. Let's move on to the next slide. Uh-oh. Well, here we go. So since we already established for the record that the oldest complete book in Kemet, the Maxims of Ptah-hotep, is dated to 12th dynasty Egypt, which is actually 1900 BC. We have a problem, Houston, because we have something in Sumer known as the instructions of Shurupak, which is instructions from a king to a prince, from the father to the son, giving him moral and ethic edicts of which to live by. And he's instructing his son on how to navigate himself through the physical world by practicing these moral and ethic codes. There are a total of 282 of these moral codes on record, the instructions of Shurupak, which date to 2600 BCE. And this we have as a record, physical record that you can reference. Go to the museum and check out and see for yourself. The instructions of Shurupak date to 2600 BCE, and they follow the style of proverbial writings from a king to a prince, from a father to instruct a son, instructing him on moral and ethics, which is basically the theme of the Maxims of Ptah-hotep. The only problem is the Maxims of Ptah-hotep is not produced in, according to Jabari, complete form until the 12th dynasty, which is 1900 BC, which is, let's do the math, from 2600 to 1900 BCE. How many years do you have, Kemet? You have almost what? A 500-year gap between the instructions of Shurupak and the oldest complete book in Kemet. So let's examine this foolishness real quick. How does Jabari and any Kemetic scholar get on camera and say the Maxims of Ptah-hotep is the oldest book? The oldest surviving remnants, which is the language they should be using, of the Maxims of Ptah-hotep only exists in fragment form. And they are believed to come from the Old Kingdom period because of the style of writing. But there's nothing that can date it to the old period. The only thing that they can date is the complete book, which has no fragments and belongs to the 12th dynasty in Kemet, the earliest being 1900 BCE. So Jabari went on camera and chin-checked himself. Let's go to the next slide. When I do people, I do very well. God is great.
Do your thing, my brother.
So here we go. You have the 42 negative confessions of Ma'at, which we see in, according to my good brother, what's
Hey,
my
Lex.
brother's name, man? Huh?
Lex, can I? We got a brother that say Netahiru Bey. He says he's lying. Ptahhotep was around 2500 BC.
Okay, so we do something in the scholarly and academic community, which is called verify and provide a source. The first thing that anyone would have to do in order to verify whether or not what I'm saying is true is simple. All you would have to do is go and research the origins of the maxims of Ptahhotep, which will bring you to the Old Kingdom period, and you'll find a bunch of memes, which is not scholarship, by the way, and you'll find some Wikipedia articles that says that the maxims of Ptahhotep date to the 25th century BCE. The only problem is, where is the source for that? How do you come to that reckoning? In the scholarly world, we call that evidence. Where is the evidence? We're not asking for what is the period that you believe it to come from. We're asking, where is the literary evidence to state those truths? And the bottom line is, the oldest complete book in Kemet, according to Brother Jabari, is the 12th dynasty. So that means game over. Game over. He chin-checked himself.
Hey Zion, can I say something right quick?
Yeah.
Also, the scholarly consensus, the furthest back they dated is actually 2350 BC. So it don't. That's the scholarly. Since they always want us to talk about the consensus, the scholarly consensus date the maximum Ptah, but at the farthest back, 2350 BCE. And then Zion also left out another book. You got the Quiche Temple Hymn. You see what I'm saying? That's dated 2600 BCE. So not only do you have the what he just stated, you also got the Quiche Temple Hymn. You know what I'm saying? Which is a Sumerian text that dates 2600 BCE. So I mean, that's not it. And according to the scholarly consensus, the pyramid text is older than the maximum Ptahhotep. So what he's doing, what Jabari is just goes to show you that Jabari uses outdated information. These people don't stay up on top of the most recent developments. So I just wanted to say that.
Okay, so let me say this. Thank you for bringing that, brother. But it's not about what I left out. It's what I left out by design. Remember, me and Brother Jabari may possibly have a debate. So there's a couple of
Oh yeah,
things
my
that I'm
bad,
not
my
touching
bad.
on. That's all right. That's all right. It's already out there, so it's okay. But yeah, so I'm a person that I always behave tactfully. I always give enough.
Meticulous.
You've seen me. There you go. You've seen me hold back during several PowerPoint presentations to actually not present the entire thing so as to leave room for a full dialogue. So I'm hoping that Jabari at some point would find the intellectual fortitude to actually stand on 10 toes as a man and face me one-on-one in a debate so that we can deal with these issues, which at that time, I will bring out the full arsenal, which would blow away everything. This right here is nothing in comparison to everything else to substantiate the truths that I'm saying. So with that being said, let's just move on, but first clarify everything that's being stated. Jabari's on camera saying the oldest complete book is the Maxims of Ptahhotep. We just read that the oldest complete copy of the Maxims of Ptahhotep is the 12th dynasty in Kemet. Everything else is fragmentary, the other three copies, and they can't date it at all. But they can assume and believe that it belongs to the Old Kingdom. But the only thing that they can actually date, because it's actually a complete copy, is that which belongs to the 12th dynasty, which we already see that would be contemporary with the baby of the Asiatic moral and ethic codes, which would be the Code of Hammurabi. That's the baby. Or we're talking about the Mesopotamian region. When you get to the father now, you're talking about Ur-Nammu. When you're talking about the grandfather now, you're talking about the instructions of Shurupak. So y'all are blown out the record with your own foolishness. Period. Ptahhotep, the oldest complete book, is dated to 12th century BCE. How does that predate the instructions of Shurupak, 2600 BCE? How does that predate the code of Ur-Nammu, 2200 BCE? You murked yourself by lying. You should have stuck to the truth you told. You still would have got banged up, but you wouldn't have got banged up so bad. You'd have been closer by a couple centuries, but you wanted to remove yourself by 5 centuries, so damn it, sit on it now. But here we go. What used to be thought to be the oldest complete record of Ma'at, because I want people to make a distinction between what we're calling Ma'at and what we're calling a complete record of Ma'at. The oldest complete record of Ma'at dates to the year 1400 BCE. That's the oldest complete record. You see it with two people. You see it in the papyrus of Ani, as well as the papyrus of Mehepri, of which Mfudiji discusses. Let's move to the next slide. In a video entitled Mfudiji 42 Negative Confessions on YouTube, type in Mfudiji 42 Negative Confessions. When you turn on that video, you'll see Mfudiji sitting on Sanada's couch. And he's telling you where we can find the oldest and very first mention of all 42 laws of Ma'at. And he tells you that the very first mention of the 42 laws of Ma'at is not in the maxims of Ptahhotep, which are 37, by the way. He doesn't tell you it's inscribed on the walls of Unis's pyramid. He tells you that it belongs to the papyrus of Mehepri, which is at least 1397 to 1388 BCE. This is the oldest recordation, the oldest evidence that is had of the 42 negative confessions. That don't make it old at all. That means it's still 200 to 300 years younger than the Code of Hammurabi. That means it's still almost 900 years younger than the Code of Ur-Nammu. And then that means it's almost 13 to 1200 years younger than the instructions of Shurupak. So why are we acting like Ma'at been here forever? If Ma'at been here forever, we need to see the 42 negative confessions. Don't show me Ma'at on the wall and then tell me, see, that's Ma'at on the wall in 2300 BCE. Therefore, so it must be, we could deduce from that, and we could add, subtract, and multiply, and abridge to that the concept and the belief. No, knock it off. Where is your evidence? Because they don't play that with us. They don't say, hey, you know what? I visited Israel, and we see where they believe to have the graves of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, so that's where they're at. No, they say, show us. So we ask you, show me. If Ma'at been around all them times, we want to see all 42 negative confessions in the period you're talking about. If you cannot find the 42 negative confessions in the period by you talking about, then we have to go by your logic. It did not exist. Next slide.
So real quick, let me cut in. So we got Netanyahu Bey. He got Bey on his name. Netanyahu Bey, you might want to come on the show and have a conversation with Lex, brother. You got more questions than anybody. You asked, where's his reference? You said that Ma'at is not legal laws. You respectfully, not cause a note, you respectfully have some questions that I'm pretty sure that Zion Lexx could answer. So you might want to come on here, but he asked, I asked for him, where are your references? And I'm looking at that, like what you got up there right now, and they say paparazzi, and then they got the date. I think you could just Google that and see if you're correct or not, period. But Lex, take it away, brother. You might have a brother want to talk to you, Lex. Netaru. I think
all right,
that's his name.
Let's move on. Let me get this PowerPoint out the way that we can address all of the cheerleaders in the Kemetic conscious community, of which we've been seeing a lot of cheerleaders tonight. But I'm dealing with the information and the facts. And the facts are this. Here's what I've already proved beyond a shadow of a doubt. Brother Jabari admits that they do not know who introduced Ma'at into Kemet. Let me repeat that. Brother Jabari admitted that they do not know who introduced Ma'at into Kemet. For those who are so, let me tell you what that means. No one knows who the author is. If you don't know who the author is, how dare you even speak of plagiarization? Plagiarization is a point that has to be first introduced by proving authorship. If we cannot establish who the author is, Kemet can't lay a claim of plagiarization because Kemet has no proofs of authorship. So I already can be credited with knocking that claim completely out the box. If Jabari can get on camera and tell you plain as day, they do not know who was the first to describe Ma'at, because that's his words verbatim, and that would be the author. The author would be the very first person to describe it. So that means you're done from the gate. But let's move on to another foolish mistake that Brother Jabari made, because they're already done on the plagiarization game. They could never use that in the conscious community again without Hebrews knowing how to counter rebuttal that. And this is the importance of why I do what I do, because I want to arm my people against the pseudoism in the community. Also in that video, he brings you and he wants to show you how old Ma'at is and how the ancestors understood that the king is the king and the Netchers are the Netchers. We understood that Ma'at wasn't a human being. You see, the king's name is in a cartouche, and we don't even like that word. It's a French word. That word refers to the magazine cartridges for the bullets that the French and the Napoleon brought into Kemet. Would you believe that your ancestors encased their history in an instrument of death? Y'all heard all the foolishness. I'm good at quoting people at their BS. Well, here we go. So he brings you back to the origin, and he says something that struck my chord. He says, but on the contrary, their names are inscribed in the Shen ring. My brother, go back to that slide. Don't put that slide out yet, my brother. You're skipping too fast.
Oh, you said
Sorry.
next. I thought you meant next slide.
No. No, my fault. I didn't mean next slide. My fault. So here we go. He made a very, very huge mistake in this instance when he made the statement that the names of the kings of Kemet are encased in Shen rings. People, do you know the origin of the Shen ring? For those that don't know the origin of the Shen ring, let me take the time to introduce you to it right now. The Shen ring is a hieroglyphic representation of a coiled rope. It dates back to ancient Mesopotamia, where it was used as an emblem, which means a sign of divinity. Let me say that again. The Shen is a hieroglyphic representation of a coiled rope. It dates back to ancient Mesopotamia, where it was an emblem of divinity. I have a question. Why are the names of the dynastic kings of Kemet encased in Asiatic emblems of divinity? Let me say that again. I have a question. Why are the names of the dynastic kings in Egypt encased in Asiatic emblems of divinity? Because the first place that we see the Shen ring replete in history is Sumer. Then you see it later in Kemet. Something's wrong. We have a problem, Houston. The Shen ring is often found in depictions of Egyptian deities, pharaohs, and other important persons. Now, I have a question. If the deities in Kemet, the kings in Kemet, their names are encased in Asiatic emblems of divinity, then what does that say about the origin of the dynastic kings of Egypt as well as the deities? I'll let you think about that. Next slide. And here is how we're going to close the night. This is the biggest hypocrisy I have ever seen attached to a moral and legal code. Everyone in the community wants to foster a deep appreciation for Afrocentric thought. I say wants because I don't believe it's genuine. In wanting to foster and show and express a deep appreciation for Afrocentric thought, while doing that, be prepared to encounter things that may upset you. What do I mean by that? Attached to every mummy is something called a heart scarab. People, I want you to listen to me. Attached to every mummy of the Egyptian dynastic kings was something called a heart scarab. Now, we all know upon death, the Egyptian king is supposed to do what? Confess that he has not violated any of the 42 negative confessions. But guess what? The Egyptians got so slick. Guess what they did? They attached the heart scarab, which represented the Necher Khepri, the dung beetle. and they inscribed on it these words. They attached it on the part of the mummy that was directly on top of the heart. Because remember, in Egyptian or Kemetic thought, the heart was the seat of the soul, i.e. the mind. So attached to the heart, the soul, the mind, which represents the thoughts, is the heart scarab. Guess what words are attached to it? Do not testify against me. Do not stand as a witness. Do not oppose me in the tribunal. Uh-oh! Do not show your hostility against me before the keeper of the balances, for you are my ka. Attached to each mummy was a heart scarab, charged and inscribed with a string of instructions forbidding it to testify against the soul as it is being judged. If Ma'at is truly about truth, how could this obstruction of justice, obstruction of truth, even be allowed? Y'all don't even understand how major of a bomb that is. So let me bring it back, rewind, and come again. Attached to every single dynastic mummy in Kemet was something called the heart scarab. Now, we all know, those that study Kemetic thought, was that upon death, the Ka and the Ba was supposed to stroll through the hall of Ma'ati where it is being judged, the hall of Ma'at, where we see the scales. Those of us who study, we're familiar. With that being said, attached to that mummy on his heart, which represents his thoughts, his genuine thoughts, which represents everything that the mummy knows or that individual and king knows about themselves to be true and untrue, are the words, do not stand as a witness against me. Guess what this heart scarab represents? The heart scarab inscribed on the heart of every single mummy is the inscription which is asking the mummy or the king not to stand as witness when he goes before the tribunal and begins to lie. When he says, I have not robbed the gods, a lie. When he goes before the Necha and says, I have not deframed my brother, a lie. I have not robbed my brother, a lie. What kind of system of truth is this? So we got so many pseudo people in the community that want to jump on Kemet because it's one of the oldest Afrocentric societies, but we don't care enough to look into it enough to see whether or not it stands according to the very truth it confesses to live by. If we had a clause like that in the Torah, they would be so quick to kill us and say that is so fake. How do you go before the 42 assessors of Ma'at, which is each hall that you have to pass, 42 on a hole? All you have to do is open up any Per Heru, the book of the coming forth by day, where you'll see, go to chapter 125, where we start talking about the 42 negative confessions, and you'll see that the deceased has to pass through all 42 assessors. Why is it attached on his heart as he stands before the tribunal? Do not stand as a witness against me. Wow, really? So you actually are adding a stipulation that inscribed on your heart scarab is an instruction to the heart not to testify against you when you go before the tribunal and lie? Then y'all look at me and say that I have a problem? Damn, homie. Y'all look real stupid right now. Everybody's screaming Kemet and don't have enough intellectual fortitude to really do genuine research in it. Everybody holding up Kemet to the highest pedestal and don't have enough intellectual fortitude to say, you know what? Does it actually stand on Ma'at itself? Because Ma'at also represents truth, justice, reciprocity, balance. Where is the justice? Where is the reciprocity? Where is the balance in having a stipulation where, attached to the heart of the king, as he goes before the tribunal to say, I have not violated, he's also charging his heart not to tell the truth. Damn, homie. Y'all going out like that? So I'm closing this part of my PowerPoint presentation with that, my brother Taharka Bey. Thank you very much for allowing me on the platform to disseminate these truths in brief. It comes from a much longer PowerPoint presentation that I intend to share during the debate. but I have already shared information with you that chops off years, decades of pseudo scholarship in Kemet. We can no longer hold Ma'at to the highest pedestal when there's a stipulation in the cultural system that would allow the king to attach something on his heart, asking and pleading with the heart not to testify against him as he goes before the tribunal to lie. Game over. The next thing I want to say is support a brother that's putting in work to raise the intellectual barometer in the community, and we'll come back to that. But I want my brother to close and respond to some of the things that I said. My brother Tahaka Bey.
Well, first of all, I want to say, subscribe to Zion Lexx on YouTube. You know what I mean? It's Zion Line on YouTube. For the simple fact is this: Lex videos, they might be like, some might be 3 minutes, some might be 1 minute, but it's going to get you to thinking. And the Prophet Noble Drew Ali teaches us as Moorish Americans that if I can get you to think, you can save yourself. And what that means is being able to decipher exactly what somebody is saying and the benefit of what they're saying. Because if somebody's saying something to you and there ain't no true benefit in it, what's the point? A bunch of intelligent people telling you some stuff that's really not beneficial. You know what I mean? So it is what it is. Y'all need to subscribe to my brother Lex. But let me look into the chat real quick. D-Red, you got anything you want to add, brother?
Yeah, man. I just wanted to say that Zion did his thing, man. He brought up the scarab beetle, man. I didn't even think to even use that correlation. So that was a damn good. All right, it's like some stuff, but how he put it together, and I never would even thought to put it together like this. So, but yeah, he gave a pummeling right there with that one, man. That destroys the whole thing. But all it does is goes back to what I was saying before on the other show when Zion was on there. According to their construct, the Pharaoh or the Nasut is the Lord of Ma'at. He get to change Ma'at as he see fit. So let's just say, hypothetically speaking, if I'm a killer, I get to take I have not killed out of Ma'at. If I'm a liar, I get to take that out of Ma'at. That's why no 42 negative confessions are the same. You see what I'm saying? So when you understand, so that's why you will never see a penalty for breaking Ma'at. What's the penalty? So for you to have a law, you have to have a penalty for breaking the law. You see what I'm saying? So that's why they'll always show you, well, this is our law. But what's the penalty for breaking it? Do you go to jail? Do you get killed? Do you have to be ostracized for a week? I mean, what is the penalty? If I break this law, what's going to happen to me? And they'll never show you a penalty for breaking the law. So, I mean, it was never meant to be a legalistic code. You see what I'm saying? It was only the spirit in which justice is applied. It was never a legalistic code. So when they try to give it to you as a law, they can never tell that it can never be a law without a penalty for breaking it. You see what I'm saying? So,
well, I'm gonna tell you this, D-Red. One thing that says on this, I think these are good, as mine said, the 42 principles. I think they're good principles. You know what I mean? But when you're talking about laws and you're talking about principles, you know what I mean? We kind of talking two different things. We're talking apples and oranges. A principle, like the Moorish Americans said, we follow the highest principles known to man: love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. These are the highest principles, the 5 highest principles known to man. These are principles that you must implement into your life. Now, if you don't implement them, there is no repercussion from the outside. There may be some repercussions from not living right. You know what I mean? Like, if you don't, for instance, I have not done inequity. I mean, I'm just an equal dealing guy. If you do inequity, you can best believe it's going to go full circle. You reap what you sow. It is what it is. So this is a principle. They're trying to make it bigger than what it is. That's just what it is. But now, back to what my brother Zion Lexx then sparked the conversation about. If this says, if I say to my son, if my son come to me and say, Daddy, I have not stolen, I have not taken the bread, I would look at him and say, what you talking about? Never asked you about no bread. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you said I've taken some bread. So the question becomes, as Zion Lexx pointed out, who is this talking to? Who is this statement answering to? That's what we need to get to the bottom of. Before we now we can say it's a principle, but maybe we need to reconstruct it. I don't know. But the point of the matter is, if this says, I have done no murder, nor bid anyone to slay on my behalf, who is this talking to? Who is it talking to? Who are these statements made to? If my son again came to me and say, Daddy, I didn't take the car. Look at what were you talking about? These 42 principles of Ma'at, or confessions of Ma'at, is who are you confessing to? Who asked the question? Who said, don't do this, or did you do this, or why did you do that? Who said that? And we can dance around all we want to. We can play this game of semantics all we want to, but we know the simplest form of the English language and communication. And if this translation is correct, or transliteration is close, these are responses. It is what it is. These are responses. But who are the responses for? Who is it to? Who is it responding to? And I think that's a very unique question that I haven't heard in all my times. I've been in the Moorish Science Temple of America for over 20 years. I've studied all schools of thought. I've read and read and read. I'm at the stage of application now. You know what I mean? I done read some stuff. I'm serious. That's why people would say to me, like, well, this brother just screaming. Yeah, man, I'm at the state of application now. I'm really not. But I still have a love for brothers, researchers and scholars like Zion Lexx, researchers and scholars like Sharif Anil Bey, Pseudo L, researchers, scholars, even Jabari. You know, I think that Jabari, when he instead of a brother like Jabari would be great if he didn't know something and he said, as he said in that one clip, that I don't know. But if he doesn't know on some of the things, they try to dress it up and clean it up. Kind of like my brother, Akanet. That's right, that's my brother. But they just start just going on and on, instead of just saying, as my brother Jabari said in that one clip, I don't know. I don't know.
But to Hawker, I gotta say something though, and a shout out to them brothers who put that up, who made that video that exposed it. See, you gotta hold everybody to the same standard. Now, Young Spaceship got dogged out for posting that book when he was on with Unc and Dr. Ma'at. He posted that Pseudo book. I forgot the name of the book. It's Pseudo. Book Pseudo. However, Jabari posted the same type of stuff on Sonetta when he posted the Jesus Mysteries book that's been debunked. It's not even the people who wrote that book are so on the outskirts of academia that the people had to admit that they made up stuff to put in the book.
Hey, brother, and that's what I'm saying about Jabari. If he do that on everything and just say, I don't know, that's fine. But on some topics, he'd just take and run. I've been watching the brother. He'll just take it and run. And that's not cool. And a lot of Kemetic brothers do that. Shaka even do that. I'm going to tell you what. I have not, and I got to be honest. Even though I don't agree with a lot of what the brother demonstrates, talking about Reggie, I've never seen Reggie reach a whole lot. A little bit. Not a whole lot. You know what I mean? Reggie just talk crazy. He like the child on a little bus that just be talking with the helmet on. He just talk crazy, but I like
but you're right about that. You never see Reggie.
And like his commentary will put you to sleep. But his research, he don't be reaching a lot. Shaka be reaching. Oh my goodness, he be reaching. But his commentary will put you to sleep like the little child telling you that story. Like, man, I gotta listen to this child, man, because he's a child. I have to listen.
But my whole thing is, if we gonna be raped, because Young Spaceship got beat up about that book for about 3 months. You see what I'm saying? And he still, and that's part of the reason why people call him Young Pseudo is because of that book. Now, if Young Pharaoh is Pseudo because of that book, then Jabari got to be he got to be he old school Pseudo. You know what I'm saying? We got Young Pseudo, we got old Pseudo, because at this particular point, the book he posted, the people had to say, "Oh, well, yeah, we pretty much just made that up." You see what I'm saying? So I
Yeah.
mean, if Pharaoh is gonna be called Pseudo because of one book that he posted, he used as a reference, then this dude is just as Pseudo because he used something that's not even recognized by academia as a reference. So
But then we got to understand that Sinetta does not care about the information. If Sinetta really don't care about the accuracy of the information, Sinetta care about a view. A view will turn into a show. A show would turn into would translate debate, lecture, whatever, and that's going to cash in. Cause so he doesn't really care about the accuracy of the information. That's why he will put up information and he'll sit there and look at the people cuss each other out in the chat. He's not trying to build up people. He's trying to keep a brand going so people can come and be entertained thinking that they're being uplifted. But when they will leave with no tools to correct themselves or the community. Period, point blank. Let's get ready to close out. D-Red, wrap it up, and then I'll let my guest of honor close out for us, my brother.
all right, yeah, man. I just want to say this, man, and I will keep hammering at home. If you gonna call Young Spaceship Pseudo, I have no problem with that because he is. But you got to hold your bar to the same standard. If you can't let young Pseudo post a book and everybody ragdoll him, that's fine. But you got to also ragdoll this dude because this dude posted a book that's just as Pseudo, and the authors of the book actually admitted that they made some stuff up that's in the book. So we can't pick and choose who to call Pseudo. We can't pick and choose who to support. We got to hold everybody to the same standard of measure. It's got to be principle over personality. We got to be, if we're going to call ourselves trying to actually implement my art in our life, then that means you got to have balance. That means you got to look at everything with an objective and an open eye and keep an open mind. And if you're about the information, you got to do the same. You got to look at the information objective and with an open mind. You can't be so closed-minded and dogmatic that you can't see what's right in front of you. I think Zion put forth a good PowerPoint to pretty much show what it is and what it ain't. You see what I'm saying? And most of this stuff is common knowledge. You can use Wikipedia to show some of this stuff. And Wikipedia is not for extensive research, it's for common knowledge information. So
That's
if you
right.
can look something up on Wikipedia, then you got to know it's common knowledge. That's the consensus. You see what I'm saying? Since they like to use the word consensus. So the consensus is Kemet ain't got the oldest information. Kemet ain't got the oldest writing. If you can find this stuff on Wikipedia, you know it's common knowledge information. So with that said, deuces. Shout out to Zion. Much love to my boy Taharka. It is what it is, man.
Peace and love. So Zion Lexx, I'll go out, but I'll let you close out, my brother. Share something with us in closing, brother.
Okay, thank you very much. I want to give a shout out to all my Hebrews in the building. I want to give a shout out to my brother Shama Shawan Ban Yahawada. I see you, brother. Shalom to you. I want to give a shout out to my sister Janelle. I want to give a shout out to my Moorish Israelite brothers, my brother Raphael Hakeem Bey. Salute, salute, salute. My brother Ariel Ban Yehuda. Salute, salute, salute. My brother Augustus Kane. My brother Raymond Salgado. Salute to you as well. And if I miss anybody, I'm watching the chat. I'll definitely say your name as well. Salute to people who came out to support the truth. Um, at the end of the day, I'm not an antagonizer. I'm here to tell truth. I'm here to provoke thought. I'm here to make people think. And the bottom line is, I have been extremely effective in providing a template to help the majority of our community deal with this information. I'm not the only one. I may be one of the most consistent ones doing it on larger platforms, but I also want to remind people in my humility that I'm certainly not the only one. There's a lot of people in the community putting in the work. Much respect to my brother Divine Prospect. Respect to my brother Nasi Yashuva, all the way in Atlanta. You know, he does his thing as well. You know, I have love for all my brothers. Salute, love, and shout out to my brother Hashar from AOC, putting in work in the streets. Salute to that brother Daniela from Lions of Israel. Salute to those brothers, man. I always try my best. Shalom, Raymond. I try my best. Shalom, Yamin. Shalom, Akim. I try my best to always keep the line of communication open with brothers. To me, there's nothing that serious between brothers that we can't come back for. I got brothers that I just named that I still reach out to, because at the end of the day, we brothers, and brothers as men are supposed to be able to wipe their blood, sweat, tears, get up, and move on. So those brothers are still my brothers in my eyes, and I still love them. I still got a whole lot of respect for them. And we putting in this work, Israel, and we not stopping until all the pseudos are done. Your pseudo card is revoked in the community. Any pseudo teacher get up here and start talking about the Bible is plagiarized from Kemet. First thing the Hebrew got to do is say, where's your proof of authorship? Since you have no proof of authorship, we can't even have a conversation on plagiarization until you provide that. Next. And it goes that simple. So I thank you very much to Hawker Bay and Moorish World TV. Above all, I thank the Most High, the Creator. I thank him for giving us enough wisdom, knowledge, and understanding to go out and intellectually labor to be able to glorify him through our works, through our deeds, and through our coming together collectively as a family unit. Salute to my Moorish family. I'm looking forward to doing a joint lecture with the Brooklyn Moors very soon. I've been out of touch with Grand Sheikh Yusuf Bey and Amir, but we will definitely be in touch very soon to finalize a date on the Moorish connection with the Hebrews. I'm actually doing a lecture with the Brooklyn Moors to do so. I also look forward to building with Brother Tahaka Bay, maybe even coming down to Maryland and doing something down there. Maybe we could bump heads and see what we can come together with, man. But above all, thank the community for coming out, man. Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Also, don't forget, every Hebrew, every Moor that shows support, please go to teespring.com/Zion Lexx. That's TEE spring.com/Zion Lexx. There you could pick up your own t-shirt, the Lion of Judah t-shirt. We talk about bringing back culture in the community. We have to wear things that represent the culture that our people come from. I have never met a Moor yet that doesn't acknowledge Israelite ancestry. I haven't met an Israelite yet that doesn't acknowledge being a Moor. With that being said, if I should get support from any two communities, I should definitely be getting support from my Moorish brothers as well as my Hebrew brothers. Please show your support. Get your copy of that t-shirt. What that does is it provides an outlet and an avenue for me to do something that we need in the community, which is going out to these different cities and putting in work. Well, we need to hit the streets and be able to do that, and that comes with funding. And I'm giving you a way to fund me by giving back to you something that I'm hoping you would feel like you need and want anyway. So salute to you as well, family. Thank you very much. Tahaka Bay, take it away.
Islam, peace and love, shalom to the family. Let me tell y'all something. One thing about the Moorish Science Temple of America, and those that truly understand the teachings of the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, they understand that we're one family. They don't talk one family. We understand that we're one family. And so when you look at the relationship, our brother would look at me and say, Sinetta mentioned this to me. He's like, you gonna have a Hebrew on your show and you a Moor? But little do we know that we have a genealogy in our lessons. It says, name some of the fathers through which Jesus came: Abraham, Boaz, by Ruth, Jesse, King David, Solomon, Abraham, Boaz, by Ruth. Boaz, that's why I wanted to stop. Boaz by Ruth, and Ruth was a Moabitess, and it shows the blending of the two nations. Boaz by Ruth. Boaz was a Hebrew and Ruth was a Moabitess, you see, and it shows the blending of the nations. So it's Abraham, Boaz by Ruth, Jesse, King David, Solomon, Hezekiah, Joseph by Mary. And so it shows in our lesson the blending. Now, That's one side of it. The other side of it is the Kemetic piece. When you start to look at the Prophet Obadiah Ali, calls himself the Egyptian Adapt student. He's known as the Egyptian Adapt student. He has the turban on with the feather you may see in his head. That's the Egyptian geese feather, reported to be, as said to be, one of the highest flying birds over the land, Egyptian goose. So whatever that is, people can call it pseudo, people call it. The point that I'm making is that we understand the unity of life, you know, and the unity of brotherhood and sisterhood. And so you can go a bit further on our nationality card. It says, we honor all true and divine prophets, Buddha, Muhammad, Jesus, and Confucius. So we're talking about all cultures are connected and weave together. We just have to find out. We just have to find out how they connect. We just got to find out how they connect. See, unity is what's going to solve the problem. We just need to find out how they connect. Stop finding out what separates. Stop going crazy about what divides, and find out the line or the thread that connects everything. And if we can find out the thread that connects everything, we can do just like the body do. The body do it every day. The body eat, and what is useful, the body use. What is not useful, the body discards. Period, point blank. So the thing is that we have to understand what unites a group of people, what unites the spirit of the people, what unites all people. And I'm talking about people from the inhabitants of what we know as Africa. Because we got to start home first. If we don't start home, we ain't fixing nothing. We ain't fixing nothing. So anybody that want to deal with division, that's fine. I address Sinetta. I will address a Hebrew brother. I will address any of my brothers on the terms that they may be talking division. But I don't participate or perpetuate division. I call Sinetta when I finish and say, brother, let's do a show, me and you, and let's talk to the people. I do a show with a brother that I disagree with idealistically, but no, that's still my brother. I'm good. I'm good. You know what I mean? I'm good. And so we got RB44. I think RB44 is a European because he goes against everything. The ideologies are a direct result of losing identity in the slave trade. Now, I think RB44, I think he's European. I think he's European. I mean, them Twitter fingers right there. Because everything he talk about is division and confusion. And see, this is not that channel right here. I want to thank my brother Zion Lexx. I want to thank my brother D-Red. And we going to do this again. Family, tomorrow night, we got a sister on here. She's a feisty sister. She a Moorish American sister. She's feisty. I'm telling you, if you're a Moorish American and you on Facebook, you know this sister. Her name is Sister Sea Breeze Bay. Good goodness and gracious. We're going to bring her on here and see what she got to say tomorrow. She been trying to get on the show, The topic for tomorrow is let me see. Hold on. I just talked to the sister the other day. The topic for the show tomorrow is the Moorish. Hold on. There it is. It's called, one second. The destiny of the divine and national movement. Now this sister here, she a fighting sister. She like fight. I'm trying to tell you that she like fight. So me, I'm going to bring on another Moor to have a discussion with the sister. Because I ain't fight with the sister. I'm trying to tell you that. The sister live in Baltimore, man, and I don't want no trouble. You know what I mean? But that sister that came at my head a couple times. I'm trying to tell you. So tomorrow we're going to have her on here. So this brother, Ray say, Tahaka, I'm going to address a few of these. Tahaka is confused and delusional and can't comprehend a simple sentence. And brother, if you had a question, that is cool. But let me understand. Let me explain something to you, brother. I'm gonna block you and delete you in a minute because you haven't come with no evidence for what you're saying. But I'm gonna address you before I block you so you can hear me. Brother, if you understand that Confucius taught a universal principle, and that universal principle is only disguised in the language called Chinese. If you understand that Muhammad brought a universal principle, and that principle is only covered or cloaked in Arabic. If you understand that the Hindus and all of these are our people who migrated to different parts of the planet. All of these are our people. The European recently came out the cave and mixed with our people, or we mixed with them. So if you understand that all of these leaders, teachers of ancient time was our people with a universal message, then you will understand that there is no division amongst our people. The doubt is of thine own raising. You doubt. The original Hindus is our people, brother. Look them up. The original Hindus complexion is come on, brother. Come on, brother. Come on, brother. Come on, brother. You never seen the original Hindu. It wasn't even called India. It was called Hindustan. It was called Hindustan. So the point, my brother, you got a Kemetic name and you stuck with a dog head. Take the dog head off. Take the dog head off, brother. Brother, take the dog head off. Open your eyes up, brother. We are one. What you looking for? Did you make that name up and you're a European too looking for division? Because you only study what the dog head means and what the dung beetle do. Stop studying what the dung beetle do and take yourself around the world and see what the universal science is. See what the universal, take the daggone dog head off. Stop worrying about that black cat and go around the world and see how people live and know that truth is universal. And the division is in your heart that comes from the slave trade. You haven't been able to, you probably not read one book out of, you probably not read one book out of Kemetic science. And you walking around calling your name Matu Lab No Antu Ray Ray Ray. You Ray Ray. Ray Ray, Ray Ray. Ray Ray, come out here, stop playing. Ray Ray. Ray Ray, take that stuff off your name and you come in this house. Talk about Matuma Ray Ray Ray. Ray Ray. Then you get your tail in this house and you stop playing. Acting like you Matula Lu Noon Atum Ray Ray. Always playing. Need to come on in this house, Ray Ray. Shoot, getting on my nerve. Trying to disturb with grown folk doing up in here and renaming yourself Noon Atum Ray Ray. Stop acting all simple, Ray Ray. Get yourself together. Take the dog head off and get yourself together, Ray Ray. Probably rolling up a blunt as I speak. Get yourself together. Getting on my nerves. Talking all that stuff. Probably rolling up blunts as I speak. Talking about I can't comprehend a sentence. And your name Matum Ray Raya Ray Ray and acting like Ray Ray. Get yourself together. Your mama don't call you no Ray Ray. You hear me? Get yourself together. I'm glad I didn't block you. Because he said you off the hook to Hawk. I'm glad I didn't block you. Because I love you, brother. But I'm just a simple guy, brother. Let me tell you something about your brother Talker Bay before I go. I never professed to be your great scholar. I am your affectionate host to Harper Bay of Moorish World TV. I am a builder. These are building hands. These are building hands. I am a uniter. I am a unifier. That's my lane. I'm a chin checker if necessary. That's my lane. I got people that can vouch for it. I got people that can back me on it. I got people that can show and prove and tell you plenty of stories. But that's another life. That's another world. I want our people to come together. And if I can make the model here in Baltimore, it may be able to be duplicated anywhere else, whether it's the Kemetic community, the Hebrew community, or any other community for that matter. You feel me? So with that, Ray, I'm going to let you live, brother. I'm going to let you live. I love you, brother. I'm going to let you live. I'm going to let everybody live. I'm just the regular guy, man. I'm the regular guy, man. I'm not the scholar, man. I'm just the regular guy. That's it. That's it. Aubrey 44, I hope you ain't no European, man. You always talking division, man. I see you in Sinetta, loving some Sinetta, though. You love Sinetta. You go buy your $25 ticket and see if you get some unity. Go buy your $25 ticket. Buy yourself a couple of them bogus books that Uncle will be having up there. Uncle will have a table up there. He gonna have a table up there with them fish head. He's called fish heads. Them fish head shoes. He gonna be up there. Now they gonna get mad at me because my brother that made them shoes, that's my friend. My bad. Shout out to Rebel, man. That's my guy too. But he gonna be Uncle be up there. Shaka gonna be up there, got his hair freshly braided. You know what I mean? Around the corner with little Keisha. Keisha that got that ribbon for him, got that all hooked up. You're going to have his makeup on. Yeah, you're going to have all that. So pay your $25 and go to the circus. Because that's all it's going to turn into. I'm trying to tell you. You know what I mean? It's like, let me stop knocking. Hey, man, if y'all go there, man, that's cool, man. I'm a jokester. Hey, man, y'all play too much, man. But yeah, but I'm telling you, y'all going to go up there. Like, you're going to hear something. You ain't going to hear no good speeches. You hear some all right stuff. Yeah, man, something gonna motivate you. Now I'm gonna tell you, Brother Polite gonna set it off. You know, Brother Polite is smooth talker. Brother Polite gonna set it off. Captain Tazoria, he probably set it off too. Tazoria, he puts in that work when he's coming to give up the speech. He good. But I'm trying to tell you, I don't know. I think that's about best you're gonna get. The Captain and Polite. They're gonna give you, they're gonna have a little bit of food there, a little vegan food there, you know what I mean, for $25, but you're gonna pay for that too. You're gonna pay for the food too. Don't think you're getting nothing free. You're gonna pay for this unity. So y'all go up there, have a good time, and then I'm gonna get the footage. I can't make it up there right now. I'll be up in NY soon, real soon though, real soon. And let me tell you something. I can't make it up there right now because I got other things going on. But don't think for 1 second. When I go up there, y'all gonna see Moorish fans is everywhere. We're gonna shut something down. This ain't just talk. This real talk. We're gonna shut something down. You're gonna see fans is everywhere. Mufti on deck. It is what it is. That's how we rock it. But again, man, shout out to my Brooklyn Moorish brothers. Man, I'm telling you, man, Allah's leading on, victory assured. They temple up and running, new charter, everything good, everything's beautiful. Shout out to them brothers. Peace out to all the family that's doing their thing. It's all right. Hey, Dinnermill just came in the chat. Indeed, Bro Talk, one fam, Moors and Hebrews need to create a right symbolic of unity, aka oneness. Absolutely. Absolutely, Dinnermill. And I think that we are the ones that can make that happen, brother. We know who we are. They know who they are. Everybody else want to try this division. The Kemetic community want to try to make division when we understand that we all together. Hey, Gingerbread Man. Listen, I would love to have Brother Larry on the show. Brother Larry keep on standing me up, man. Brother Larry talk a lot of stuff. Like he put up there when I had the head wrap on Facebook and everything. And as if he don't know that the original Arab was a darker complexion than me. As if he don't know that. As if he don't know that the Europeans came down from the mountains, from the hills, and I myself took them in, and now the Arab look pale. That ain't the original Arab. They stole our culture. And we sit up there talking about, oh, everybody want to be Arab. And stop letting people rob us, man. Just like you see the pale Turkish guy wearing the fez. And then we say, oh, they want to be Turks. Come on, man. Come on, man. That people steal our culture, man. This is why I am so strong in the teaching of the prophet over Drew Ali, because I doubted it. And I checked it everywhere. You know what I mean? We could come together if the Moors and Hebrews stop worshiping the white man God Allah. See, you don't even know what Allah means. Ray. Allah is the Arabic language. Allah only means the God. It's not a white man's quote unquote God. A-L means the, L-A-H means God. God absolute, creator absolute. Brother, that's what I mean by the universal science. The universal science. A European didn't create that term Allah. A European did not create the term Allah. The pale Arab did not create the term Allah. Stop giving these Europeans credit. Stop giving these Europeans credit. Again, like Hakeem Bey say, the deity, the source. A-L means the. Learn the language. Get out of your neighborhood. Pick up a book. Look at etymology. Come on, man. Stop giving these Europeans credit. Allah means, again, A-L means the. We know in the English language, the means absolute. The, that's it. L-A means God, source. The source. Allah. Allah. That is not a European tongue. That is not a pale Arab tongue. Brother, please study words, study etymology, study the language. Come on, brother. Stop, man. Stop. This is how the European dominates us, because the thing that you say is that we need to put down the white God. The Hebrews and the Moors need to put down the white God Allah. But brother, you are miseducated as to giving these Europeans something that they stole. They stole it. The pale Arabs stole this and dominating the world with it. And dominating the world with it. And they banking on your ignorance. They're banking on your ignorance. Hey, brother, when we talk about AL, brother, we talk about the closest thing. We're talking about, yeah. The Arabic language has no vowels. We're talking about the closest thing, brother. It's not a European tongue, is the point. But you can try the division all you want, Ray. It ain't going to happen. People are waking up. People do not care about division no more. People trying to figure out how the next generation can grab on to the baton and take it to the next leg of the race. And we must build something for that to happen. With that peace and love, family, on my bout, I got to go. Ray, hope to see you next time. Tomorrow we're going to have the sister in on next week. Next week we're going to have Michael Edwards in here. I'm going to bring Michael Edwards in here and see what he got to say. And then I would love to find me. Hey, you ain't going to make this guy right. He for the division. He full of division. You know what I mean? He full of division. Ray, I love you, brother. Let me say this. I'm going to bring Michael Edwards, and I would like somebody to refer to me as a real Kemetic brother that's about unity and about teaching, that we can bring him on the channel. That's not pseudo. That's about teaching. That's about unity. And that's about the unification of the science that our ancient forefathers studied. Everybody in Africa didn't believe alike, but there was a universal thread that they understood alike. They understood that there's one God and there is one way. And regardless, if you go, you're going to have to make it to that one way. And that's what it is. You bring me a real Kemetic brother, that's ready to teach, not condemn, not antagonize, tell them email me at taharkabay@yahoo.com. We like to get him on the show so he can teach and talk about the unification. And it'd be good to have one that understands the Moorish paradigm, the Hebrew paradigm, and understand the thread that unites them all. And I see the brother say Mfudishi. Mfudishi just fell into the trap by saying something slick about Moors on Sinetta TV recently. So, and I have much respect for the brother. It's hard to say something about something that you know nothing about. Study. You have to study. Study what the Moors believe. Study what the Moors have faith in. Study what the Hebrews believe and what they have faith in. And be more tolerant. We need religious tolerance. And religious tolerance doesn't mean we tolerate this foolery. It is what it is. Peace and love. Shout out to my brother Akanaki. I'm about to call you in a minute, brother. I'm up out of here. I'm about to call you in a minute, Akanaki. I got to call you right now. I'm picking up the phone right now. Now, peace and love, family. I appreciate y'all. I'll see y'all tomorrow if y'all around. We're going to have Sister Seabreeze Ray here tomorrow. I don't know. This sister be charged up. Let's get it going. Islam, peace and love. Shalom, Hotep. Love you all. Let's keep it moving.